And with us now is Kervin Aucoin, former lead intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance coordinator for the U.S. Army. Kervin, happy Thanksgiving. Thanks so much for joining us today. We see Venezuela strengthening its defensive posture this week. At a rally yesterday, I'm sure you saw it, the defense minister said they're ready for anything, even to die. We know that President Trump has repeatedly called the Maduro regime illegitimate. Is it possible we'll see more action than just strikes on smugglers here?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. What I will say is that these are how operations work. So, Sec War Hegseth is given multiple courses of actions or COAs in order to stop the drug trafficking. One of those was strikes on maritime drug trafficking. That looks to be at the end of that operation. And if we are to believe what President Trump is saying, is that he has been given a course of action for land operation. And if he has agreed to that land operation, we are likely to see some sort of land operation to stop this movement of illicit drugs from the Central America into the United States. What does that look like? I think when people hear a land operation, they think of massive troops on land moving forward to the capital of Venezuela, Caracas, and going after the Maduro regime. I think it's going to be a little more covert than that. We're going to see some we're going to hear later about covert operations that would have been happening in Venezuela.
Kervin, just to clarify, so you think that the Trump administration has said they're going after the smugglers, so that's what you're kind of focused on, but you think that there may be something covert happening within Venezuela? Do you mean targeting the Maduro regime?
Yeah, no, it's just to clarify there, I don't have insider information, and if I had classified information, I'd obviously wouldn't be here giving that out. But in looking at history and hearing what President Trump has said before, look, he has called for the Maduro regime to be toppled, to get a more pro-U.S., more pro-capitalist regime into Venezuela. And he's already been public in saying that he has either thought about or approved covert CIA operations within the country. So absolutely, I think this is going after illicit drug trafficking, but the target is on Maduro. The United States says that Maduro is facilitating this, and some within the administration think that Maduro is leading this illicit drug trafficking. And so, like we've seen in Syria with the overthrow of regimes, as we've seen with Gaddafi, things like that, we could see something similar to those situations that could happen. Maybe not in the near future, but soon enough.
Interesting. And as you outlined, Kervin, there are many reasons the Trump administration may want to replace Maduro with somebody more friendly to the United States' interests. Let's just focus on the drug smugglers for now and the operation against them. As the president said, targeting the smugglers on land may be easier than it is at sea. Why is that exactly, and what strategy do you expect the United States to take?
Yeah, look, from a targeting perspective, it is a lot easier to target on land than it is to target maritime operations from the entire cycle of that. So from your find, fix, and your finish. And the reason for that is that a lot of the targets on land are fixed targets. So you're talking about compounds, you're talking about facilities that can be targeted. And this is probably what we're going to see. We're going to see the use of ISR, the use of drones overhead to send munitions downrange and to target facilities that the U.S. believes, through various forms of intelligence, are either facilitating the move of illicit drugs or are actually part of the creation of those drugs. So I think that is, if we're going to talk about more of the overt kind of things that are going to happen, that's something that we're probably going to see. We're not I would hope not, and I don't think what the president is saying here is that we're going to see boots on the ground of U.S. service members in Venezuela fighting face to face against the Venezuelan military.
On that type of an operation, you're a reconnaissance expert. Does the United States already have all of the intelligence it needs to effectively carry out a mission like this on land?
That's an excellent question. Do they have the targeting in place? I think they have a lot of what they need, but they absolutely do not have all the intelligence that they will need in order to facilitate these strikes. So what that's going to mean is that they're going to need to gather more intelligence. They're going to need to expand the operation. Um, and get this information so that they can, anytime we're going to strike, and I was part of, the counterterrorism strikes across the continent of Africa and in the Middle East. And you need to be very clear and very precise about what you're doing, and you need to be very accurate so that we are not out there targeting, corporations in Venezuela. That would, if that would happen, that would cause massive uprising against the United States. It would outcry from the international community. So the United States needs, and the intelligence community need to be very careful, very sure, very positive about what they're targeting before strikes actually happen.
It seems like the administration is putting a primary focus on this. We know the USS Gerald R is the world's largest aircraft carrier, is in the Caribbean. We saw that the War Secretary Hegseth visited the troops there on Thanksgiving, which is notable. There are many moving parts to this operation, but what do you think the Secretary of War is monitoring most closely here?
Yeah, I think first and foremost is, what intelligence do we have, and is it accurate intelligence? I also think he's always said this. He's for the morale of the troops and what the troops are thinking. I think he took those questions and concerns, and he's formulated a plan. Look, this administration is an administration that has asked for or has run on a campaign of stopping wars, not starting wars. So my belief is that they're going to be very careful in what they're doing here, in understanding that anything that doing anything outside of the legality of international law, that's going to cause a lot of problems, and then not to make any false moves, because getting into a conflict in Central America against Venezuela, I understand the U.S. military much larger than Venezuela, much more capable than Venezuela, but the people there would not see this as some benevolent group that's coming into the country to save them. This would be very dangerous if we're going to start getting into boots on the ground fighting Venezuelans and not just the illicit drug trafficking.
Well, if anything, if there's anything to go by with the recent strikes on Iran, they may look to do this very surgically, Kervin. Kervin, one final question. We saw 6 Democratic lawmakers release that video telling service members to not obey illegal orders. Some have speculated it was related to these drug strikes on the drug smugglers. It is quite an unconventional activity for the military. Does it make service members uneasy in any way?
Yeah, I think it does. Every strike that I participated in, I was uneasy, right? Within the intelligence community, we are not, we never give a 100% prediction or something of that matter. We're always in the probable or possible, likely, highly likely, but usually never at 100% unless we are there on the ground and see it for ourselves. So typically in these strikes there is unease, but to get into not following illegal orders, every service member understands they have an obligation to not follow illegal orders. The issue there is that if you don't follow the order because you believe it is illegal, and it turns out that it was a lawful order given to you, there are tons of repercussions for that. And so yes, there's probably some unease there. You've got to be very careful. You've got to navigate this very carefully. And just like you said, you made a very good observation there. This is going to look a lot more like these strikes on Iran that were very surgical, that we're probably going to see on these facilities that the U.S. has pinpointed as facilitating the illicit drug running.
Well, Kervin, Aucoin, we appreciate your service and thank you and all of our service members around the world on this Thanksgiving. Kervin Aucoin, former lead intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance coordinator for the U.S. Army. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for having me. As always, stay safe out there.